Alrighty, Brent here. It is Friday, the 9th of July, 2021. SPY ripping to new all-time highs once again. Hashtag can't stop, won't stop. This thing is just like Richard Branson on a path to the moon, and he's not coming down anytime soon. This thing is just ridiculous. 3 different trades today. One main short that was another awesome opportunity. GALT. This one pulled up on some news of positive top-line results from their phase 1B clinical trial, blah, blah, blah. They've got a float of 41 million, short reported interest of 11%. This one popped up on the scanner in the morning, kept my eye on it around this area. I first started tracking around here, saw it continue to spike to new highs, and then just continue to fizzle around without ever having cracked VWAP at that point. So I was never tempted anywhere along here. Good to see that. Well, I guess not good to see, but interesting to see that if I was watching earlier, I maybe would have been tricked out to think that this was the initiation here, but it's a good thing that I didn't see it at that point or recognize it and just watched it as it continued to push on, but still provide the same morning dump pattern setup opportunity that we track on this, and we look for the VWAP crack as the sign that the short side is now on for this move. So a little bit of a chasey, you could call it, but for my first entry, but I'm not gonna deny that, or for lack of a better terms, condone myself for this lower bit of a fill here at 4.8 on my first entry of 400 shares. Very low fee to borrow shares on this one as well too, which made me also think, just gave me a little bit more comfort to know that this one wasn't going to be heavy manipulated, or a lot of other shorts in this one that could have potentially gotten squeezed again after it had already done it here initially. But we got to this point, never really broke my emotions or tested my patience on this one, or my risk level for that matter. After my entry, broke pretty hard, and these 2 moves were pretty much the hardest price action pulls for the rest of the day, and could just kind of set up and has allowed this trade to really work. And this trade for me today is one of the best lessons that I have now of why I look to take profits, at least some profits, off of the table at 10%. Because as we were able to climb down here from 4.8 to, I think I had my order at 4.01. Again, I got my order in very soon after my entry, just getting my order right to the top of the list. So if we got anywhere close here, I would be one of the first ones pegged to get at 4.01. And again, yeah, 4.01, just because I don't want to fool around with the whole round number of $4. I've kind of gotten in the habit that way, and I think I've found some success being able to do that and getting filled. And I think in the future as well too, when I have those bigger position sizes, if it's going to have strength, I definitely want to be starting in before it pushes down through that whole number, just for better ease and better liquidity that way as well. So able to take off 300 shares here at 4.01 in that position, and we held consolidated pretty well around that $4 round number the whole rest of the pre-market. Yeah, there's little wicks here that tried to go lower, and maybe would have made me think, oh, this could be a squeezer for the rest of the day. It could be a gap and crap reversal kind of setup with the dollar volume it had. $400 million volume today in total. But being able to take off that those 3/4 of a position at 10% level, I locked in $140 right off the bat, and that is just such a huge emotional release that allows the trade to breathe so much better, in my opinion, on this one. And I don't think I would have been able to hold the rest, or even hold a whole position all the way down to 3.5, let alone 3.6 or 3.8, if I was in a full size. I mean, this one, just this retest here, the different little price action VWAP kind of claims here, Michigas, you could say. I think I would have tried to trick myself out, maybe set a stop at a 4.2 or something kind of crazy like that, of just what I would have done had I had a full size in. But being able to just take off and tell myself that this trade was a winner. Now you've got the new risk level of just below entry of like 4.45, I set it as. So it's a winner no matter what. You know, there is no stress on it. There's no need to set a stop to encourage anybody to try and hit that, even if they could see that, which they couldn't on how much this one was bringing in today. But the trade was working out well, and glad I was able to hold. Initially I set, after this point, and I think as we got in the market open, I set the rest of the 100 shares at a limit order of 3.5, and just thinking, okay, we could fade there hard in the morning here, and then maybe reclaim, just do a little bit of stupidity, chopping around. As we were getting to the 10 o'clock time frame, I was watching it pretty hard. I mean, and when I say pretty hard, I'll go back to first how much I watched it here in the pre-market. This one gave me a little bit more emotion involved in it, and I think I could just feel something a little bit different on this one. I don't think it was necessarily called like a newbie trading fear, or I'm nowhere near like a physical expression of that, of the shaking of hands or the tightening of the breath, but I can just feel myself when I'm a little off, or when my focus is a little bit, when I can see myself trying to look at every tick more, or harder I should say. That's when I know I'm not comfortable in the trade, and I'm a little bit off of what my reasoning to be in the trade in the first place is. So with this one, I could feel myself doing that a little bit more, and I think that's just because my intuition was saying, hey, maybe there's a little bit something off here. And I think that was proven more in this consolidation of, okay, this really isn't selling off as hard as the ones in the past have, of our awesome winners. Because yet again, these two red candles here were kind of the hardest moves for the whole day, of proving true price action, versus what I'm talking about here. Even though these candles may be bigger, it wasn't really true price action. It was just indecision and just choppiness of where price action wanted to go at that time. So this fill here at 3.6, just kind of watching it and continuing to debate myself this whole time of, oh, maybe I should have just did it to 3.6. Maybe I should just take off here at 3.7. It could just reclaim and do something crazy in the after hours here. I certainly do not want to be lingering around the whole day with these shorts. I am not looking to play a whole intraday fade on these. That is not my setup, and that is coming from the hot market of 2020. In no way, shape, or form do I want to mess around with that type of wizardry and witchcraft of being able to be manipulated that quickly while I'm on the short side. So I certainly am going to take profits I'm going to take the money when I can, not when I have to, which is the quote I love from Tom Sosnoff. So it kind of looked like I lucked out super hard filling at 3.6 here just before it was going to perk here, and I thought, oh my gosh, I filled awesome. It's going to maybe just chop around VWAP the rest of the day, and I got the best fill, but it did end up shooting back down. And for me, it really was a coin flip of whether or not it came back to 3.8 and just danced around until the market closed, or did what it did today and stayed around the 3.4 level. But awesome opportunity. I was able to pull up before. I remember this chart from the past. I didn't trade it before, but I identified this as a morning dump setup. So you can see this one on April 14th. User clinical research, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you can read that. I don't like reading it. But not the cleanest chart, and again, not the most aggressive price action of selling downward, but the same type of fading that we saw similar to today. So going into this, I knew in the back of my head that it wasn't going to be direct bang bang 10-20% opportunity. You were going to have to sit through the fade, wait through the choppiness, and I was ready and prepared for that, and identified too that even seeing this in the pre-market that, okay, VWAP is a little bit of a player on this type of stock. It does have some weight on price action, judging from this point, judging from the market open, as well as it ducked under. So you can see on the daily here how different it was, or where we were at compared to today. So that was this day here on the 13th. Not too much overhead resistance on that day as compared to today. And of course this day broke that, what was the pretty biggest all-time volume candle for that one. Is a 10-year chart now, from that time. So huge volume coming in today. And obviously, like I said before, that the borrow fees weren't insane, which made me believe that it wasn't a lot of shorts trying to pile in on this one. Maybe it was the longs. Who knows, supporting this price action. It had to be some buyers coming in, or maybe it was shorts just covering from holding it over the long term at that point to support it here. But it was not breaking down hard, and I don't think any time in the future it's going to do any price action similar to that. But the trade was there, the opportunity was there, and we played it well. I was patient and did a good job of not trading the P&L, like I said before, of kind of debating, oh, well, if it comes back up here, I'm going to lose like 20 bucks, and blah, blah, blah. I had that thought. I had those different thoughts, not specifically, but I completely was able to separate them from my emotion on the trade and say, this money right now, that 20 bucks right now, whatever, is not going to affect me right now, whether or not I hold it for 10 or 20 more minutes. So I believe I held off for as long as I could, saw the price action kind of just bottoming here, and got out for an awesome profit. 12% in total on this one today. My second biggest win in total of, it was a $228 total win on that one. Second biggest trade, like I said. This week, we're in $450 in the profit, which is also my second biggest week after the end of April. So awesome opportunity. Love being able to slam these hard, identify the patterns and things that I'm strong at and seeing well, and just going after them hard. And I see the opportunity there to go even harder. There's way more room for me to take an even bigger size, maybe even play around with not having to liquidate or take off at 10%. Not at that point yet. I'm still very comfortable and enjoying being able to secure profits when they are there. But this has shown us again too that, hey, maybe sometime you can take, maybe let's take just half off that 10%, and then we can let the rest ride. Very awesome trade on GALT today. Other long ones that we went for, NVFY. So this one from yesterday, pretty choppy price action without any volume. Of course, it's a little history of a parabolic, little one and done spiker. Had a pretty big update yesterday with a nice volume candle. Had it on the watch list for a first screen day short, but being able to watch, I think I talked about yesterday too, I love the new little tiny clips from Bryce and Matt of Stocks to Trade, and they're just little daily recap videos and what they look for in small cap NASDAQ rockets. So like this one's got a float of 3 million. And so in seeing that and the type of price action that we had yesterday, I shifted my bias on this one from short to long, thinking that, okay, even if it doesn't have another huge new breakout day, we could get a pretty awesome reclaim, maybe back to the 5.7 or even the round number of 6, definitely above 5, the whole round number here too. That was pretty awesome magnet that could have drawn some more. So that's essentially what I based this trade off of, that bias. Tick chart not too great on this one, of course, because there's not only 15,000 trades in total on this one today, $17 million volume. So it wasn't the most awesome short squeeze opportunity. Thought with this little indecision here we were going to get a few more perks. You can see the little in and outs I got within these candles. I think I bought, so yeah, 4, 8, 9. I kind of top ticked this candle with the first 50 shares, bought in another 50 around this area, the 4 8s around here, thinking we were just, this is just wedging, ready to explode to the upside, and then we started dunking. And I kind of set my trade parameters of, oh, if it breaks low day, or if it breaks like 75, then I'll cut, and then cut that, or it fell below that, and then, oh, it broke this level of low a day, but I wasn't really getting fake out that. I said, oh, I'll just let it go a little bit more, and then it went to like 4 5. So yeah, it just cut it when it was showing weakness, and the trade was definitely off at that point. You know, hindsight, shoulda, coulda, woulda. Maybe wait for the bounce, but there's no way I could have predicted the bounce, or I think that would have been totally degenerate of me to say, oh, I'm just going to hold for the bounce here, similar to like Tim Grattani, how he used to. He doesn't want to liquidate into strength. He wants to take off and just wait for a dip to get out when the trade is off. So that's what worked out today on this one. And price actually reclaimed a little bit. Got close back to my second buy there at 4.8, but just was not in the cards today, and the trade was not there. Maybe it comes in next week on Monday. because it is a 3 million floater, and any type of news catalyst or any amount of volume coming in could certainly push this thing hard one way or another, like we saw here yesterday on Thursday, but just was not there today. Cut it when I need to. Maybe I took a little bit too large of a position size. This was like a $10 loss that I took. No, this was a $34 loss I took on that one, which I guess I kind of deserved because I didn't set the trade parameters beforehand, and I didn't really stick to the initial one I set and just let it keep going more than it should have, and sold into weakening strength or reverse strength of my position, which is not good, but good experience, good exposure on this type of low floater. I'll continue to keep it. I don't think the strategy is done. I don't hate it. It just didn't work on this one today. I know Bryce nailed NEGG today for the same small cap rocket type of setup. He was looking at something different out of the open for a first green day on this one. Pretty nice chart to do it on as well too, for how parabolic it went in the past few days. So he was able to get in around this new high a day perk above the open price here, above this first minute candle, and played off very nicely to a beyond 10% profit. And then he added again around here as it was shoving back under VWAP and sold into this perk tier 2. But I think had some few remaining shares that he had to get stopped out at the 50 round number whole level. Interesting chart on that one. Great experience for another small cap rocket. Also had CARV that I played for some longs. This one held well. It faded off hard yesterday after the crazy halts. Reclaimed, was holding VWAP pretty well. Even the pre-market had a huge run up that was showing a lot of strength. In total, this one today, again, another $2 billion volume day for how many trades this thing shoved off. And this one again just started teasing after this, whatever spikes and downtrends it wanted to do in the morning. Again, it was just holding so well above a rising VWAP that I had the same thought that I had yesterday of around this area of how well it was holding above a rising VWAP. This thing has got to go higher. If I was a short, I'd be totally scared out. But here again, I mean, this was the move that I was looking for around these different price areas. So you can see how I got in and out here, just totally teased over and over and over again. And even the volume chart here of how many times it wanted to just pretend like it was working. Oh, here comes the volume. Now we're squeezing up. Oh, here comes volume. It's definitely here. No, just kidding. Oh, here comes volume on another retest, and then it just pulled back. But still continual higher lows and just continuing this uptrend here. And this move here, it wasn't a hard move like any of these previous ones on this one, which what I was looking for. I got in again on this one, tried to play for that move, but it wasn't going to happen, and I was able to get out barely for just a little bit of profit, so I saved myself from taking another loss on this second trade, but it was a $2 win, whatever. But then again, this was just a long trap that we have not seen in a while in market hours. And I felt it, and I don't think I could have predicted it. I knew it was in the back of my head, and I've always have to be aware of that for these types of setups. I think MRIN was my last one that I actually did that on. Mito, what it was, yeah, back in May. That I kind of did the same thing of, oh, this thing is looking great, it's going to be awesome, and then just got all the stops in the algos as it dunked under VWAP. Total wreck of the trade, and it was the nail in the coffin for the rest of the day today. Crazy to see that. We haven't seen it in a while, so just a refresher course on that you always have to stay vigilant and aware that that opportunity is there, even on these, just crazy movers. I mean, of course, this is the micro float one of 800,000 float. So it's not like it was so far out of the realm to guess that this could have happened with somebody large that was short this. But yeah, again, maybe too big of a position size, but I don't think I would be saying that if I was able to take off my profits here. I think if I was right, and if it did start doing this move here, I would have certainly taken off 3/4 at least when I was beyond 10%, and maybe let the rest ride if it did want to come closer to a high a day break around there. But I would have gotten stopped off anyway when it truly did show its real colors of coming back under VWAP with the overhead it had. Interesting one to take note of. And yeah, like I said, great refresher to always be on your feet, even for the long and short side. JPUW, morning dump setup, identified it. Not really confident. I don't think I even really identified it or was watching it that hard because I was already in GALT, but it was another morning dump opportunity. Getting in at the VWAP crack here, declining VWAP. There's your 10%. Not huge volume in any way, shape, or form, but another representation of the pattern. Not going to keep it on the chart either because it's not awesome looking or totally pristine, but it was there and I identified it. SJOC, cannot find a news release specific on this one. I'm sure Twitter would have something to say about it. But huge halts here in the midday, in the perfect midday, right at 12 o'clock. For some reason, this one's got a float of 30 million, so not like it's a micro float. Short interest of 1%. I didn't see anybody else trading it or identifying it. I didn't really check the chat that hard, but of course, it's got to keep this one on watch for what it did, with just how parabolic this thing is moving and this volume candle that it had today. So this will be on watch for a follow-up coming in over the weekend on Monday. Crazy mover. And this one again too, I think I've talked to Chris about, of just how you see these types of ones and you're like, golly, I should have would have been in around any of these points, or bought the dip here and just played to the upside, and oh, everybody else is making all this money. But in reality, it could be like nobody making money on this. It's just moving for whatever reason. Anytime you see a stock up this much or moving this crazy, you automatically think everybody else is making bank except you. But that's not really the truth the whole time. And it could just be, crazy rare case in the stock market, and something we really shouldn't pay attention to, because you're not getting, if this does happen again with another ticker, it's not like you're going to be able to profit off it or see the same types of things again anytime. It's just something to take account of, those, just like the Aurora Borealis. It happens every once in a while. Or maybe not. I'm not a scientist. I don't know. Don't listen to me. SQBG. First green day after big parabolic volume day here. Daily kind of displays a good chart of what this was. Kind of see it from this little 30-minute chart here of the up moves, just totally volatile, especially with these after hours and pre-markets. It's not like it was just so pure of big parabolic move up, down, and then revamp, squeeze after the big move. But this was another one that the trade was certainly there, and I think JJ VWAP traders totally talked about the reasoning behind all of this, the manipulators, and how and why this type of specific trade happens. But this was a great example of that. I found ATHE yesterday. ATHE kind of did the same thing after a little bit of a parabolic move, pullback. Yesterday had a pretty nice ramp compared to the daily. This intraday isn't the most splendid to look at, but it was the same kind of theory of after the huge parabolic move, sell off, fading, and then ramp, whether in after hours pre-market or intraday, comes the big move, is what they're looking for, and certainly a predictable pattern to keep an eye on for the future. And that is all I got today. So end of the day in total, of course, like I said, second best trade on GALT, end of the day $181 in total after those losses on NVFY and CARV. Finally feel like I'm stepping into being profitable and just taking the nickels that everybody else is leaving behind and being able to recognize these patterns and just smash them. And it's, being able to take the awesome profit percentages, even with the big movers that have a decent dollar volume, that I know in the future, as I scale up my position size, I can continue to do the same pattern without being affecting the level 2 time in sales or getting manipulated in that way. It is very inspiring to see that, and of course the money is pretty nice too, just to push you to say this is going in the right direction, this is working. Continue to hammer it as it provides itself and adjust when it's not, because I know it's not going to always work in the future, and I'm aware of that, and I'm going to be ready to flip or look for something different when these stop working, or if they don't want to work out how I trade them currently, how can we trade them to that point however they want to work in the future, or should we totally flip and go the long side whenever we see these again, or the same thing type of style that Chris wants to trade with the gap and crap reversal on those, that they can get a sell-off after a little bit of a peak, but then new high day breaks all the time after they do a little pullback from those. So I could see a lot of different scenarios evolving from this setup if market makers are getting smarter, or lots of other people are hopping in on these same types of patterns. I remember seeing one guy yesterday talk about his trades. He was actually talking about VVOS, which was my trade on Tuesday. Oh, actually yesterday, Wednesday. So while I traded it for these moves here, he was getting short at these VWAP peaks. So he got short here, played for that move, got short here again, and played for that move, and still made like $300 on those. So that's just another point to me too, of like that guy and Bryce and Matt, to how much they're able to make with the position, the account sizes they have. What I'm doing now is just so inspiring and encouraging for me, and the steps forward to know that the hockey stick is inevitable and it's coming, and it's just going to be able to continue to encourage me and push me harder when I'm able to take the bigger dollar wins. And I don't have to feel like, oh, I need to be learning more of these, what everybody else is doing. I can just continue to stick with what's working and not feel the pressure of, oh, I've got to be a slave to the market. I can just step away and just say, I'm just going to hammer this pattern, this one pattern, because that's what's working, and I'm fine with missing some other movements. But awesome end of the week, even a short week this week, second best week. Just continue to hammer these types of setups as they're working. Look and evaluate the first green day shorts as they provide themselves. I haven't really done a scan for next week if anything has popped up or looks great yet, because I haven't really found anything that's, or any tickers in this past week or the past few trading days that have shown me those patterns are working out well. But continue to keep a nose to the grindstone, and we will catch you on the next one.